to this episode of Tuesdays with the Disability Policy for All. Today I'm here with Representative Marc Molinaro from New York. Before joining Congress in 2023, Representative Molinaro served in New York as a mayor, state assembly, and county executive. Thank you for your support of people with disability, and thank you for being here today, Representative.
Liz, I appreciate that, and I'm glad to be with you. And please don't worry, I have not met anyone who can say my last name very well. My grandmother said it best, so we'll leave it to history to get it right. I'm thrilled to be with you. I spent a lot of time with self-advocates, and I think it's really important to give everyone of every ability the voice, not only to be heard, but to press their government to make a difference for them. I just would say briefly, for a bit of background, I'm the proud father of 4 children. My adult daughter, Abigail, was born on the autism spectrum, lives with a seizure disorder, and my wife and I know what challenges exist and how difficult it is for everyone of every ability to be able to access not only the support and resources they need, but the opportunities they deserve. And so whether it's job creation, going out and getting a job, or finding a place to live, or relying on public transportation, the system is complicated. And so if I can be helpful to others, and my family can be advocates for those with disabilities, then that's something we take very seriously and am proud to do.
Thank you. This is your first term in Congress. When you were serving as a mayor and county executive in New York, you started a project called ThinkDIFFERENTly for people with disability. Can you tell us more about that project and why it's so important to you?
Sure. So other than the challenges I know as a parent with a child with a disability, in New York State, county governments are responsible for the delivery of services. So whether it's accessing Medicaid or simply ensuring compliance with ADA, county governments in New York State are really the government entity that many individuals with disabilities and their families have to interact with. And I knew then and still know now that the system's very complicated. It's very burdensome, and navigating it all is a real challenge. And so knowing that there were so many advocacy groups and individuals with disabilities that needed sort of a single umbrella to work under, we launched Think Differently. It's a call to action, really calling on others of every ability at every level: government, business, agriculture, families, individuals, to create opportunities and to break down barriers for those with intellectual, physical, and developmental disabilities. And all of that came together under this initiative. We did everything from ensuring simple access to movie theaters and ADA compliance, to building big parks for kids with disabilities, to launching Think Jobs and Think Ahead, a program to connect individuals looking for work with employers looking for employees, and Think Ahead, a college-level experience at SUNY Dutchess to provide an education opportunity beyond high school for those with disabilities. Think Differently became this call to action, and 101 communities across the country embraced the Think Differently principles. And now, having left local government, now serving in Congress, Think Differently has been replicated in communities all across New York State, and we're using it as the platform, right, the single place to be able to articulate and argue that the federal government needs to do a lot more for those of every ability. We want to ensure universal accessibility to public transportation, to job opportunities, to housing, and we want to be sure that everybody of every ability has the inherent rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness protected. And I've said this before, and I think you probably know it. There's almost this acceptable prejudice that we have to confront. It's the soft prejudice of low expectations, that some people think others with disabilities can't achieve certain things. And that's just wrong. Because of their perception, it's wrong. And so as a government, as a country, and as a people, we've got to protect those rights and ensure that everyone of every ability has the opportunity to achieve the success they define for themselves. And that's what Think Differently is about. Start by thinking differently about how we interact with those of different abilities, and then let's act purposely to ensure that there's opportunity.
Thank you. And the project sounds like a great and very exciting project.
Thank you.
Hope I know that this is just for New York, and you're a congressman from New York, but maybe someday it can be country-wide. And I would love to know that everyone in this country can think that people with disability can do things.
You're right, and I will tell you, it is actually, and so it's what we're trying to achieve in Congress too. I've taken Think Differently now to this level in the hopes that we show America what it means to think differently about those of every ability.
Thank you. Can you tell us more about your priorities for disability policy that you will be working on for this term and moving forward?
Well, I tell people that if you were to ask the average voter what their top 5 issues are, services for those with disabilities will likely not be on that list. And it's not because they don't care, it's because many don't live that experience and don't necessarily know. So for me, ensuring that in everything we do, we're thinking differently, we're showing ways to break down barriers for those of every ability. We really lean in on every piece of legislation. It could be simple amendments to appropriations bills or even the national defense policy. We've been able to write provisions that will expand access to military families and every other American that may have a family member with a disability. And I want to say this: there are a good number of Republican and Democrat members of Congress who care deeply about breaking down barriers and creating opportunities. I know that. For me, it is one of my top priorities. And so we've taken Think Differently to Congress. And I've sponsored and moved a dozen pieces of legislation in one form or another. Everything from the Think Differently Database Act, which would create a clearinghouse nationwide, a single point online where individuals with disabilities, family members, service organizations can go online and identify what resources and supports exist for you in your community. So that you don't have to search every state, every community. You can go to one point of contact and understand what resources are available to you. To ensuring that families that are navigating special education in K-12, that they know that they have a right to a third-party advocate to be at special education meetings to help navigate and advocate for your child if you have an IEP. We've taken on Amtrak and said it's important that they meet the ADA requirements. Imagine we are 40 years from the adoption of the ADA and 30 years from the adoption of the ADA, and still Amtrak has not done more than a third of its platforms and train stations to meet ADA compliance. So we've taken on Amtrak to meet that demand and putting pressure on this Department of Transportation to do that. To emergency response and the Think Differently About Emergencies Act meant to say to FEMA that it's important, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, that local emergency management teams, fire departments, ambulance corps, that they have access to resources to respond to individuals with disabilities, to job opportunities. And our Think Differently About Employment Act meant to open up support from the Small Business Administration to individuals with disabilities who want to launch a new business. And by the way, many individuals with disabilities create their own businesses. And since the pandemic, we've seen a massive increase in entrepreneurialism among those with disabilities. So from that to connecting willing employers with interested employees. And what I tell people all the time is, an individual with disability given a job opportunity is life altering. Those with disabilities, as you know, Liz, have an 80% unemployment rate nationwide. But you and so many others of every ability, you're the kind of workers that on Friday don't want to go home, and on Monday you want to get back to work. And I think it's important to let the rest of the world know that creating those job opportunities not only help keep individuals with disabilities, get them in the workforce and and have them create their own independence, but it's a really great opportunity for businesses too, to diversify and to welcome individuals of every ability. And really for all of us, it's a great opportunity. So I've focused on all of these, and I spent a lot of time listening to self-advocates and supporters and families of those with disabilities to try to come up with new priorities. And so what you care about, I care about. And if we can find a way to advocate for it, we're going to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Representative Mark Mile.
I'm gonna help. Let's do this. Ready? Do this. Molly, can you say Molly?
Molly
Arrow.
Arrow.
There you go.
Molly Arrow.
You got it.
For your time. And I look forward to talk with everyone next time. Have a great week. Bye.
Thanks, Liz. Be well.